Want to unlock the secrets to a thriving business in the healthcare space and pick up some health hacks along the way? Health Hacks is the podcast that uncovers the latest and cutting-edge health secrets and inspiring business success stories. Each episode, we'll dive into innovative remedies, expert insights, and business hacks to take your practice to the next level. Now here's your host, Mark White.
Welcome to Health Hacks with Mark L. White. Today, my guest is Sam Tejada, CEO and founder of Liquivida. Sam, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here, Mark.
It's funny, I've known you for so many years, and I have so much respect for what you've built. But just for people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about Liquivida.
Yeah, so, Liquivida is one of these ventures that I started that was supposed to be a side gig. But Liquivida, our main focus is making people feel good, look good, and be in control of their health. So that's actually our mission statement. And what we do is take a proactive, preventative approach to people's health and wellness so we can get them performing where they need to be. Okay,
so you mentioned side gig. The side of what? You're a firefighter?
Yeah, which, obviously I was a fireman for 12 years, right? And I started Liquivida about 6 years in. As most firemen, they have side gigs where they supplement their income on their days off because we work 24 hours on and we're off for 48 hours. So on those 48 hours, I had to find something to supplement my income. I was doing other things with Dr. Willix, which you knew Dr. Willix. He was my mentor since I was 19 in the functional medicine space on my days off from the fire department. And, I started Liquivida 6 years into the fire department just to make some extra cash, helping people.
So you're putting out literal fires, like actual fires, and now you get into Liquivida, which for people who don't know what that is, these are our IV vitamins, right? You've come up with these customized IV vitamins. So you're putting out fires inside of people's body, like figuratively.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's interesting. So how did you get into that? What was that transition?
So, when I was working with Dr. Willix in Cenegenics, we had all of these very affluent clients that were patients of Dr. Willix. And these are people that lived from all over the world. And they had homes here in South Florida. And what I did for Dr. Willix, I did all of his specialized blood work. So I would go every 3 months to these patients' homes and draw their blood so Dr. Willix can, treat them accordingly based off their deficiencies. And a lot of these patients, they had homes in California, Colorado, different parts. And they would always come up and tell me, it's like, Sam, you got to look into this IV vitamin therapy. I do it when I go to my house in California or my house in Colorado. And the technician who does it is an off-duty firefighter paramedic. You should look into it. So I had the fifth patient tell me the exact same thing. And then that's where it kind of sparked. I was like, man, I really should look into this. And I started seeing what a lot of companies were doing out in these other states. And I saw it and I said, you know what? I can do what they're doing, but I can do it better. And then that's where I pitched my idea to Dr. Newman, which you met him once out in Coconut Creek. And he gave me a good sized room in his office for us to actually launch the business model. And then that's where Liquivida came to life.
So why can't I just take a multivitamin?
So you can, but the difference between both of them is that when you take vitamins orally, what's happening is it has to go through the digestive route. Most of us have digestive issues to begin with. So you're probably not going to get the amount of absorption that you should get. Now, statistically, it's proven that you only get about 30 to 40% absorption of any nutrients that you're taking orally. So when you go intravenously, you get 100% absorption at the cellular level.
Okay, so you're talking to Dr. Willix. He tells you about you're helping him find out about hormone deficiencies. Did he also get involved with the IV vitamins early on?
He did. Ironically, when I brought this up to him, he said, Sam, this is an old idea. You remember how Dr. Willix was. He was very
old school.
Yeah, very old school, very firm, direct. And he was like, there's nothing new here. He says, I used to do this back in the day when you were wearing diapers. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I had one of the largest chelation centers that did all the IV therapy back in Miami but everyone would think I was a quack because I was giving them vitamins intravenously. And he actually did, like he was one of the first ones actually offering this stuff. So he was a big part of helping me develop these different protocols. And Dr. Willix was actually one of the partners with Liquivita, and he was our chief medical officer until he passed away right before COVID.
Now, what year did you start Liquivita?
So Liquivita, I started doing IV nutrients therapy without the Liquivita brand in 2013. It was like September of 2013. February of 2014, I finally got incorporated, and then that's when the name Liquivita came to life.
And then you left you left the fire department.
Yeah, so I left the fire department 6 years after starting Liquivita.
Wow.
Yeah.
Long side gig.
It was. It's you milk it as much as you can, but it got to a point where I was going on duty at the fire department, and I was losing money. Going to the fire department. But you get the nice salary at the fire department, the benefits, the pension that you're feeding into. So it's just like, for me, I wanted to make sure that I still had the money coming in that's feeding the bills and everything else, and then utilize whatever I was making with the business to continue to grow the business. I just kept on taking that money and investing it back into the business.
Was it scary?
Yeah, I mean, even until today is still scary. It's like every day you get new surprises. The bigger you grow, you have all the different governing boards that are down your throat. It's I've been sued by some of the biggest pharmaceutical companies. And sometimes I don't know if I'm still going to be around, but I keep on pushing, and I'm willing to put up the fight.
What do you think it is about being an entrepreneur that makes you keep going? It's almost like you have to be a masochist in some ways.
Yeah, I think I'll speak for myself on this one. Is I have a mission. I have a God-given purpose, and part of that purpose is fulfilling my mission to change the course of medicine. So for me, I'm going to have a very loud voice when it comes to that change in the course of medicine, and I'm not going to stop. I just won't. I'll put up a big fight for people to get the actual true medical treatment that they need.
Okay, so in 2019, you're going full-time, 2018, 2019, then COVID hits. COVID must have thrown a huge wrench into what you're doing. How did that change your mission?
It actually, it did throw a huge wrench, and there was new strategy that had to go into place. But COVID was actually very beneficial for Liquivita, because what ended up happening during COVID, people they realized that they had to really take control of their health. Because the people that were, dying from COVID were the people that were heavily obese, people that had a lot of chronic illnesses, people that were vitamin D deficient, so people realized that, hey, this is the time, because we don't know when there's going to be another pandemic of some other virus or something. So our business, actually, our revenues went up like 3 times the amount during COVID.
Was it easy to talk about it, or did you feel like you were being censored by big medical?
Oh, 100%. We definitely got pressured. At the point in time that COVID happened, we ended up putting something, and we were taking care of all the first responders that were scared of COVID, and part of that, obviously being a former firefighter paramedic for 12 years, I started hearing a lot of my buddies that I worked with, a lot of concerns like, hey, what can I do to boost up my immune system and this? And we launched a whole program where here in South Florida, we were actually taking care of these firefighters and cops for free for quite a while, where they'd come in and get the high dose vitamin C to boost up their immune system. So part of that, we got a lot of press on the news and whatnot talking about it. And on our website, one of the things that we put up there is help boost your immune system by doing a high dose vitamin C drip. And just like about a week later, man, I got a letter from the FTC, a warning letter about that. And they were down our throats about it. And it was unfortunate because, we're really out here trying to do something positive to help people. And, that put a huge wrench in my process, where now I had to get an attorney out of Washington, D.C. that's familiar with the FTC. and go through that whole process where I had to develop new marketing protocols, spend a boatload of money, to address this matter of this warning letter. But yes, so a lot of these governing bodies, they will press you if it's something that they don't like.
I think looking back, people realize like censoring medicine when we don't know what's going on, it was the wrong approach. How did you persevere through all of that? And like, what was your biggest takeaway?
So, the censoring of medicine, it's like when you know what's right and you're passionate about what's right, you're going to keep on pressing forward. You're going to have a few setbacks, but you can't let that just set you back completely. There's a lot of people, especially today with the new administration and everything else, there's a lot of people that are speaking very loudly. We live in a digital world where people are active online talking about this stuff. So the censorship is not happening the way that it was happening before.
What advice would you give the Sam Tejada of 2013 if you had to do this again?
Man, if I had to give that advice to the Sam Tejada in 2013, I'll say, when I first started the business, I was so focused on building the company brand. And I did that because I didn't want it to be a personality-based practice. I didn't want people coming to go see this doctor or to come see Sam who has great IV skills. I wanted people to come for Liquivita. But part of that, what I learned throughout the years, is a brand is not a brand without attaching someone to it, right? When you hear any kind of names like, let's say, Amazon, or you hear Tesla, or you hear something like Apple, the CEOs behind that brand. So one thing that I wish I would have known, and it took a while for someone to actually get this information out to me after going through multiple different publicists, is the power behind having a strong personal brand attached to the company, specifically the CEO and founder, or the doctor if it's their medical practice. So if I would have known that earlier, I can assure you that I would be in a whole different other place when it comes to like the company brand and then the Sam Tejada brand. And not saying that my brand's not where it needs to be, but it would have been, at a whole different level at this point.
And I followed your journey over the last decade. I've seen your company grow. I've seen your brand grow. I think the challenge when we're in this space is how do you scale when you can't be the one doing the IV therapy? Like, how do you pass your values to the rest of your organization?
Yeah, so, I'm a visionary. So the one thing that I don't do well is make the vision become into reality. That's where you have to have a very strong team that makes your vision into reality. But the only way they can actually make your vision into reality is them understanding your vision. So you being able to articulate what your vision is and making sure they understand that. And this is the power of building strong relationships with your team members, right? Where things are not transactional with your team members. Things are not transactional with any people that go into your ecosystem, including vendors, including customers. Like, everybody has to understand your vision, because that vision is what feeds into the culture of the company being developed, the culture of what your actual customers end up seeing, right? Your customers being able to congregate together where now they're wearing your company name on their chests. So for me, it's definitely building those relationships with the team members so they understand what your vision is, and then they can execute upon what that vision is.
In one sentence, what is the vision of Liquivita?
So part of the vision is, obviously bringing health and wellness to the masses, right? And when I say bringing it to the masses, meaning going to all of the different diverse groups that are out there, right? When you look at Liquivita, we're one of the few companies in the industry that the company is built on a very diverse foundation, right? You look at myself, I was born in Dominican Republic. I was raised in the inner city. Dr. Haywood, African-American, Dr. Davis, African-American. There's not a lot of people in the functional medicine and biohacking space that are from the Black and brown community. So for us, it's not only be able to treat the people that can afford some of these expensive services, but also bring in a lot of this education, a lot of these different tools, these modalities to a lot of these other areas, a lot of the inner cities where those people benefit from taking care of their health as well too.
One thing, going back to that, so you actually have taken a leadership role in the whole industry. I remember last year you invited us to a conference where you had your competitors there. I'm like, right. Sam, are you kidding? This guy competes against you. How did you put that together?
So I was actually appointed as a chairman of the American IV Association back in January of 2024. And, a lot of the other CEOs, they voted for me to be the chairman because they saw what I was doing, with a lot of the relationships that I've built within the industry. I was already kind of doing that. And as you know, you have a chapter in the book. Yeah. My first book that I published called How to Win in Modern Wellness, where I actually took a lot of these relationships, my competitors, and I gave them all chapters in my book. So we're all collectively talking about how we're winning in the world of modern wellness together. So I think that was probably one of the first steps of really bringing people unified together. Because, Mark, one of the things that was very difficult for me is when I first got into the industry, it was a cutthroat mentality with the competition. And what was difficult for me is listening to everybody chant the exact same thing. We want to change the course of medicine. We want people to take that proactive approach to their health and wellness, but then being against each other's throat. So when you go back in history and you learn about how people would win, divide and conquer, right. We have to be united. If we're divided, big pharma, the big food companies, they're the ones that are going to conquer. So for me, that was the starting point of actually bringing people together. We have the Vibe Conference, the Vitamin Infusion Business Expo, where we're bringing experts from all the different businesses and everything else, and we're coming together and we're working together. It's not that we're sharing proprietary information, but we're supporting each other for this bigger movement of health and wellness.
Right. So the mission is making all of us understand that there's healthier, like if you can take a proactive approach to your health, you don't have to be taking pharmaceuticals. You don't have to be cutting yourself open. Those are some big enemies. Like big pharma is a big enemy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they got deep pockets.
They got deep pockets
as well. So yeah.
So what's changed in the last year? I know we've had a new Surgeon General. We have RFK Jr. I know that you've been big in this whole MAHA movement. Do you think you're seeing a tipping point now where it's becoming mainstream?
Absolutely. And the reason why it's happening is because the people that are leading these different governing organizations are the people that have been in our industry, right? When you start looking at what RFK Jr. is stating and what he's putting out there, these are things that the functional medicine industry has been talking about longer than what I've been alive. You talk to some of these doctors and you start questioning them about what's happening right now in government. They'll tell you that they potentially would have never seen this happen in their lifetime. So this is huge. I mean, for our industry, the whole wellness industry in general, this administration, the Trump administration, and him nominating RFK Jr. to lead HSS, and having all of the other guys leading the CDC, the FDA, the recently nominated Surgeon General Casey Means, these are people that understand functional medicine and biohacking.
They all have the same letters from the FTC that you got.
100% they do.
So it's like part of a secret society there.
Yeah.
Where's this going to go?
So that's something that we're following very closely. And I think where this is going to go is a lot of the different services and modalities that we've been very hesitant to be able to treat our patients with we're finally going to be able to do it. Not only that, but it's something that I see it becoming mainstream. I see it potentially becoming part of primary care. And this type of treatment becoming the first line of treatment for patients, right? And it all starts with education and us being able to educate the people, right, of this country on how to take control of their health. And then there's an accountability component, right? Because when you're dealing with a lot of these other companies, like the food companies, that are putting all of these toxic chemicals in our foods, they have to be held accountable as well too, because what they're doing is they're taking advantage of some of the most vulnerable people that are out there. So, we will change the course of health in our country if we keep on doing what we're doing currently.
So Liquivita started as IV vitamin infusions. Last time I was over at your place, you're now doing hormone optimization. You're doing regenerative medicine. How did you go from just doing IV therapy, which is one little component, to doing the whole functional medicine toolkit?
So, when I started Liquivita, it was inside of an existing wellness center called East West Physician, where basically they took Eastern and Western medicine and integrated them together. So there was everything offered there from chiropractic, acupuncture, hydroclonic therapy, medical aesthetics, hormone optimization. And one thing that I noticed out of that location with the IV therapy division is that the IV therapy division was very successful, not just because we just only offered IV therapy, but because it was part of the treatment plan of everything else that people were going through. So people are not just looking for a simple fix. They're looking for a total fix for their health and wellness. So part of that is we created what's called the Vita Journey. So the Vita Journey consists of 5 different divisions. We have our wellness side, which include all of the comprehensive lab testing, genetic testing, micronutrients testing. It includes the IV drips. It includes hormone optimization, some of the peptide therapies that we do. That's part of the wellness division. Then we have our medical weight loss division, where we utilize nutrition, exercise, supplementation, and peptides to help people through a medically supervised program lose weight. Then we have our medical aesthetics division, which include facials, peels, the different neurotoxins like Botox fillers. And then we have our regenerative medicine side, which we utilize stem cell-derived products like exosomes and certain peptides. And then we have our sexual health division, which obviously you've been a big help with the sexual health division, with us building that, which we do Gains Wave, Femi Wave. We utilize certain other type of treatments like the O shot and P shot, where we're using the PRP and also exosomes for that. So for us, it's if we can get people to participate in all 5 divisions, they're living their Vita journey. And then that's somebody who's going to have a very optimal health.
So do you see yourself replacing the traditional healthcare provider and being that go-to?
I think for the people that want to take control of their health, yes. We're not going to replace your ER doctor, or we're not going to replace a heart surgeon. There is a place for traditional medicine. There is a place for the allopathic type of treatments. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring in the few steps that have been ignored for so many years. And that's more of that proactive. Our medical system is a sick care system. We wait for people to get sick to then do something about it. We have to stop that. Our medical system has to be more proactive. People should be doing comprehensive blood analysis, not because they're sick and symptomatic. They should be doing the comprehensive blood work to get a good bird's eye view of what's happening with their health and making sure that things stay within optimal ranges.
So when people come to see you, they're healthy, and your job is to keep them out of sick care.
Right.
So that's the big change that our whole medical system hopefully will get to.
Right. And that's what we call well care. Instead of sick care, we want well care.
Yeah, but you have you have to change a lot of hearts and minds.
Yeah.
A I'll get into like one of the other things I've always admired about you is your ability to build your own brand, your ability to go out onto social media and market yourself, market your mission. What advice would you give to practitioners who need to do that or want to do that?
So the one thing I tell everyone is if I went back about 5-6 years ago, I would tell people we're a marketing PR company first, medical second. Today, I tell people we're a software technology company first, marketing PR company second, and medical third. And the fact that technology and marketing come before the medical side, I don't want people to get it twisted. It doesn't diminish what we do efficacy-wise on a medical standpoint, is that with the first two, you don't have a business if you don't have those two things in place in today's world, right? So when it comes to these doctors that are getting into practice or leaving traditional medicine to do their own thing, you still have to market yourself. It doesn't matter if you're selling ice cream on the corner over here or you're doing medical. You still have to market what you have so people know what you're selling. So building up your personal brand is key. And part of that is you have to get out there. People have to see you. So you have to be in front of a camera. And I'm not talking about fancy camera, how we use here in the podcast room. I'm talking about just grabbing your cell phone and just talk. Talk for 60 seconds. Most reels online are 60 seconds. Most people don't even have the attention span for 60 seconds. So if you get a strong, powerful message, a hook within 6 to 12 seconds, that's all you need to do. So just start doing it.
Now, you mentioned software and technology. How are you leading with that?
So I'm very data driven. Everything I do, we have to be able to have quantifiable data behind it, regardless if it's with our health, with our business, the financials, right? I look at financial reports every single day. That's data. So everything has to be data driven. We grow our company based on data. So the digital world that we live in, there's so many different data points. So for me, it's important to be able to have quantifiable data to continue to scale the company. So everything from lead gen to being able to track your new lead, your new patient acquisition costs, all the way to your LTV of that client, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months down the line, that's important. So you have to have different systems. You have to have systems that have back-end open APIs to be able to have all of that information being thrown through these different platforms, and then you can scale your company based off of that. Now, in today's world with AI, that's something that people need to embrace as well too. So when it comes to software and technology, we're involved from everything from the data side, artificial intelligence. I have a SaaS platform that I'm finalizing that takes all of the quantifiable data from a patient and spits out treatment plans for the medical provider to understand what are going to be the best treatment plans for the patient. So software is definitely extremely important when it comes to the tech side.
So you mentioned AI. How does AI fit into your company's vision?
AI is incredible. I mean, you're taking certain processes that would have taken hours to days to weeks and getting the result instantly. And I'll give you an example for that. So we started doing a test out of Germany called a IGL test, where it tests over 900 different environmental toxins in food and your environment and everything else. The unique thing about this test, it actually shows that toxin, which is the DNA adduct, and it shows what gene in the body it's bonded to, right? So what happens is you get this gene, which is some crazy code that nobody knows what it is off the top of their head. It'll be like P5.6, this, that, blah, 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 long number. So now for a physician to figure out what this gene is responsible for that this toxin is bonded to, they have to go into the literature. And it's like old school. You got to like search it. God forbid if we didn't have internet, you'd have to go to the library, go into the different encyclopedias, medical journals, and try to figure out this gene. You know, today we have internet, so you can start Google searching, but you still have to go through the literature and start reading.
You have to understand it.
Now with AI, you take that gene code, plug it into AI, instantly AI gives you everything that you prompted to give you. So now the treatment of that patient is accelerated days, weeks, hours, a heck of a lot quicker. So now the physicians are getting all of the information they need a heck of a lot quicker. So now when you start creating things with the AI where you could take that lab work and just plug it into this new software platform that's AI driven. Now just imagine everything that software can start spitting out.
Plus you have all that data that you're feeding in there that's going to give it like objective real world results.
Yeah.
So
that's the other part that we didn't touch up on. That's a monster.
It's a monster.
Right? The data.
It also creates a moat because when you're thinking about like you having to grow your business, it's very hard now for people to get into the industry unless they're teamed up with somebody like, or a company like Liquivita,
right?
That has all those systems ready to go.
Yeah. If several years ago, it wouldn't be so hard to start your own clinic yourself, and people can still do it. If you want to have a little boutique clinic, you're a medical provider, and you want to have Dr. Smith's little clinic, then fine. But if you really want to compete in the marketplace, then you have to have access to a lot of these tools. And in all reality, if you're not part of a bigger system, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to even have access to a lot of these tools.
Right.
So, I tell people, if I were to just get into the industry now, knowing what I know, you know what I would do? I want to start from scratch.
Join Liquivita.
I would join Liquivita or find another wellness clinic that has a lot of these tools and have developed these things, and pay my initial franchise fee of $75,000 or whatever it is, and have access to all of this stuff that took, forget about how much money it took, because obviously it took millions of dollars to develop this stuff, but the time that it took for them to develop this, I'd rather go win with the owners, the founders of that company, because they're gonna make me winning for my clinics a lot easier than me just doing it myself.
What does the future of this look like? Like, what is it that nobody's talking about that you think will be the next big thing over the next 5 to 10 years?
I'd say the future, when it comes to our industry, the future is going to look very bright and long. And what I mean by that is people are going to be able to live a very healthier, optimized life where they're going to have true longevity. And that's why when you start looking at some of these conferences, there's a conference coming up, Dave Asprey's conference. The name of it is Live Beyond 180. People are going to be living a heck of a long time because now we have the technologies in place for people to really optimize their health and be able to live that way. And you're starting to see people in their 40s and their 50s. I mean, some of these people look better than what 20-year-olds do. They look better than what they looked in their 20s. So it's that's what the future is turning into. The future is really turning into people being able to live a good life with quality health span, right? And then longevity.
And so what are we going to do with all that extra time?
Well, I know what I'm going to do. I won't stop, No,
it's always nice to have you on the show. I think in terms of industry leaders, like you've stood up, you've been a leader in this field for over a decade. It looks like we're going to have you over the next 50 to 100 years of our life. So,
oh boy, be ready for that.
No, I want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate everything.
Yeah, Mark, and I appreciate it, man. And one last thing I'll leave the listeners and the viewers with is, if you're in this industry and you're in this business, it can't all be about the money. It can't be transactional. You have to be willing to volunteer your time and be part of a bigger mission for this to go in the direction that it needs to go. And that's what a lot of the leaders in this industry, that's what we're doing. We've teamed up together, and we're putting the efforts, we're supporting each other, we're coming on each other's podcasts to really get that message out. I appreciate it.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark.
You've been listening to Health Hacks with your host, Mark White. Make sure you subscribe to Health Hacks wherever you get your podcasts. Health Hacks is brought to you by OmniWave, your gateway to regenerative therapy. The ultimate shockwave device on the market, delivering absolutely pain-free, non-invasive regenerative treatments. To learn more about OmniWave, head on over to omniwave.com. If you're interested in joining the OmniWave network, book a call with our experts, and for being one of our listeners, you're entitled to a special promotion by using this code, HACKS. Thanks for listening.